All right. Okay. So what we were discussing yesterday? What were we discussing yesterday?
Yeah, what is manual testing and
What is
difference
manual
between
testing?
manual and
What is
automation?
automation testing?
Yeah. So we have Rajiv on the call. Hi, Rajiv. Good morning. Raju, can you hear us? I think you're on mute. You are talking.
Yeah.
All right. So Rajiv, just want to know what is your experience and what is your current status of job? What are you doing right now?
Basically, I'm not in the job. I'm pursuing BTech final year.
You're pursuing BTech final year.
Yeah, 4-2.
My God. So we have students also on this course, right? Great. So see, why do you want to trouble yourself learning now only this right kind of courses? Happily you can study, right? First complete the BTech.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I only told he's my nephew.
Acha, okay. This
Just,
is all your encouragement, okay?
yeah,
Whole family you are involving into automation.
yes.
Mhm. Okay, all right, that's fine. End of the day, learning is always a good thing. And yesterday your video was stuck. Okay, yesterday your video was, I don't somehow it got stuck. So we were seeing you only white t-shirt all whole day, video
Yeah.
not moving at all. Correct? Hmm.
Some
Okay,
internet
good.
issue.
Good. See, assume so we have full strength today, 11 people. So yeah. So okay, we assume that, right, before getting into automation discussion, right? So I have few people already completed the manual testing course. So I know who are those people. So newly joined, right? Hi, Rajalakshmi, good morning.
Good
So few
morning.
people, yeah. So people who have joined today, right? So what we expect is like they will be having or they already have the manual testing knowledge. Right now, I think Sandeep told he is already having a similar background, so we don't mind that. And Niharika also coming from manual testing background. So others, right, Rajiv and any newcomer who's joined today, please make sure you go through the manual testing concepts. This is very important for you to understand manual testing concept. Without that, going into automation will not be correct idea. Good idea. Okay. All right. See, we were discussing about, we were just pressed up ourselves what is manual testing and what all things that can be done manually, right? So what all things can be done automation in what are the different scenarios we go for automation when we do it manual. Then we were discussing about, see, what are we doing right now? We are trying to bridge a gap right now. Why someone wants to get into automation? So we are trying to bridge a gap, right, from our manual to a automation. Then we'll slowly move on to the automation concepts. Right. So now till yesterday, like we have discussed, this was the slide we were discussing yesterday, right? Manual versus automation. Now, hopefully screen is visible, right?
Yes,
Everyone?
Yes, Vinod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
All
Vinod.
right. Okay. So, see, yesterday we have discussed, right, for the manual testing, right? So there is a human intervention is required, right? So what do you mean by human intervention? He keeps on testing it, right? He opens a web application or he opens whatever application under testing, AUT, right? I keep on repeating this word. People who are new to IT world, please make a note of it. AUT, which is nothing but application under testing. So we keep on testing the right application which is under testing and make sure that if he finds any deviation in the requirements, he'll log that as a bug. Correct? That's what a manual tester does. But what about automation? Right? So automation testing is nothing but now in place of writing the test cases, the automation tester, right, will write a test scripts. Right? It is a step-by-step commands to the system to make sure that it will perform all the steps that are given in the sheet. Right now, the test cases which are there in the right, already written by a manual tester, that will be converted into an automation. It is as simple as that. As an automation tester, right, please understand your scope. You're not going to write and test cases in Excel sheet, then you write test scripts, right? Please understand. This is what you do. What is your job? What is your job? Your job is to write whenever you get into a project and whenever a project is assigned, right? You will not write the test cases. Please, you don't ask your lead that, hey, give me an Excel sheet, I'll start writing the test cases. No, your job is to automate the test cases. What is the prerequisites? You should have a test cases template given to you. All the test cases which needs to be automated should be given to you. Correct? That is the first important requirement before you automate something. Correct? Now, what all test cases needs to be automated? Right? That we'll discuss in some time. But right now, what you need in order to proceed further, in order to start your automation, first thing is what you need to have test cases in your hand. You should have a knowledge of what is that functionality, right? You blindly cannot automate any website. You can't just blindly write a script. First, you understand what is your domain, what domain your project is falling into. Whether it is e-commerce, that's a health. Okay, if it is e-commerce. Now, what are scenarios that needs to be automated? You will not automate every scenario, right? So you'll be automating the core functionality. And in terms of core also, there will be a test cases which will be prioritized, which is again the test cases which are repeatedly most of the time. So we'll come back to that point, right? I don't want to confuse you everything in one go. So you as a manual or as automation tester, in your hand, before automating anything, you should have test cases written by the manual tester. Correct. So what one is, first step is important. Now, these are all points are very, very important for the interview point. People will ask you if you want to start the automation, what you need. Definitely laptop. That is not the question asked here, right? Definitely laptop is required. But what, as an automation tester, what is that you need? So you should tell all these points. So we need to have, first point is what you need to have a test cases written by the manual tester, right? Then there will be further more options also that we'll keep on discussing. Now, what is the next step? The build which is actually should be automated, right? That should be certified by the manual tester. Now, example, now the whole Gmail application that we are right now, example, we are testing it. Understand the example. I'm just putting it in a very simpler way. Now, example, Gmail application is under testing. Now, let's say only five pages have been developed. Now, one inbox page, another one is composed like that. Let's say 5 pages have been developed, right? For that 5 pages, there should be test cases written. First step. Second, a manual tester should certify, yes, these 5 pages are working fine. The build should be certified. There should be sign off. The word, if you remember, we used regularly this word, sign off, sign off, sign off. So the build, right, which consists of a 5 or 3 or whatever that is being released, that which coming to the automation team, that should be certified. There are no error pages in that particular build. Yes, automation team can start writing the start writing the test cases. Now tell me, let's say there are 5 pages developed. Out of second page is throwing an error. Is there any point in writing the automation script? No, right? We already know that there's an error. Then what is the use of writing an automation script? No. So because that we are proceeding for the automation, what is the next important step? The build should be certified by the manual tester. And going forward, there will be more conditions will be added. For now, at this stage, based on your understanding, the first step is what? We need a test cases written, properly reviewed, and we know there is a peer review process that will be reviewed by your QA lead, reviewed by your colleague, reviewed by your customer, who depends on the project to project. Then once it is finalized, once it is approved, then that is a good to go test cases for further process. Might be testing an application or it might be getting into an automation role, right? So far it is clear, right? No confusion with whatever discussion we are doing it, correct? Everyone, voice is clear, screen is sharing properly. Any confusion in
No, no.
understanding the concepts?
No, no.
No,
No.
Vinod.
Okay, all right. Now, let's get back to this one. This is very, very important for especially for the senior folks who have 5+ years experience. Said obviously when you go for an interview, right? 5 years currently who are working real time 3 years, or you want to show as a 5 years, for them, these are all important aspects for the interview. Now, left hand side, you see the aspects, right? These are the parameters: execution, speed, accuracy, best for, right? These are all important when you go for an interview. People will ask like, what is the use of an automation? You have to justify the execution time taken by the manual tester and execution time taken by the automation tester. So you have to justify why someone or why a project should go for an automation, right? We all know the execution time taken by a manual tester will take time, but why it is going to take time? You should give an example, right? Now, example, we write good number of test cases, right? So writing test cases, definitely it will going to take time. And of course, the execution of test cases also takes time. Correct. Now, once it is automated, it's a one-time job, right? One-time job. You will not write the test scripts again and again for the same test cases in the Excel sheet. You will automate one time, but there might be some changes. Example, there might be some changes. There might be a button added onto the page, or there might be a small functionality change added to the current page, or there might be something has been removed from the web page. Now there was the example file upload button was there, right? There is to process uploading a file, and there is further process happens. The customer wants, hey, can you remove that file upload option from the website? Now in that case, if your automation script is running and the file upload script is existing, right? It will throw an error, correct? Because that file upload functionality is not there on the web page, right? As an automation tester, right? These all things are required. So you should know where to change the code, which code needs to be commented, which codes need to be deleted, which code need to be updated, right? When you will do it, when you have a good hands-on experience in writing the test scripts, correct? You should do the troubleshooting. You should debug the code. So I'll show you everything in when we get into an automation, right, while writing. So you should have a good hands-on. That's where you will find out the error. See, writing from scratch, anybody can do it. That is easiest part. You can just invoke the browser and it. But in the real time, you will not start from zero. Please understand this. In the real time, you will not you will not start from zero. It is very less opportunity where you will start writing from zero. Most of the time, 90% of your time, you will be working on the existing scripts only. So there will be already automation test scripts written by someone, right? You will be joining the project where you will be maintaining that scripts. Now, what do you mean by maintaining, right? If there is any change, you'll update the change. If there is anything that needs to be deleted from the code, that needs to be deleted. Now, whatever change you do, now you know as a manual tester, regression comes into picture. Correct. That's where the understanding regression concept is very important. In which scenario regression comes? Any change to the code, any change to the application, regression comes with the same way. You made any changes to your scripting, right? How are you making sure that that script is running properly, right? You have to run it. You have to run and see whether by deleting the code, is it affecting the current scripting, right? By adding this feature, is it increasing the performance? It was taking 5 minutes when the new functionality was not added. Now, after adding this particular feature, it is taking 7 minutes. Is it fine? Right? Because after this, right, there is another script which should be invoked parallelly or immediately the completion of first script. There is a second script which will be waiting at 8 minutes. Will there any be impact on that second script which is ready to be ready to be executed once the completion of that first script? So you should be very careful, right? Your your mindset should rotate 365 degrees while working on the test script, right? Is there any effect if I do this? You can't just delete the code and save the code and say that done, right? You should be very careful. And in real time, there will be lengthy test scripts. It is not going to be your 10 or 15 lines what you do at the practice sessions. Okay. Now, having said that, right? So when we talk about the aspects, and you should understand why a manual testing is going to take more time and why the automation testing team will take lesser time. And of course, there will be scripts where it takes more time also. That depends on what kind of execution that you're doing. Say now there will be lengthy flows. What you do, you log in, then you'll go and pick up some data from the web page. Then you will put that data into some kind of a business validation into your database. Now database have some kind of storage procedures which run in the backend, and the data is again it is validated. It is again do some calculations, and there is an output. Then that output is picked up by your next automation script, right? So there will be lengthy scenarios in the real time. It is not going to be a simple click, simple text editor, or simple radio button that you're going to access, right? So you should be very much experienced, right? We will practice everything, and of course, uh, real time is always real time. Practice is always practice, but definitely will do it in a real time. Will touch base near real time, right? This is the word we use in discussions of the project, right? This is going to be a near real time. It's almost real time. We'll touch and we'll see how the execution takes place, right? Now the speed, see, execution and speed is something, right, where depends on the number of test cases. The resource who is writing the test case is also important. Example, if you are not familiar in writing the test cases, you'll take more time, and a person who is coming from good domain knowledge, good expert, and he should be very good in typing also. And this is a simple thing what you see. Hey, typing, everybody does it, but that makes, if you are not good in typing, definitely it will take more time for you to prepare the test cases. You have to type every small character, right? And you have to save it. And if you don't save it, example, you typed around 10 to 15 test cases and you did not save it, right? So there might be different reasons which can affect your test cases writing. Correct? The same thing happens in test script. If you don't save it, it is gone, right? So depends on resources. How fast you are in writing the test cases, how fast you are in preparing the test script, right? The speed depends on what knowledge you have as a manual tester. Speed depends on what knowledge you got in automation tester, right? If you have lesser knowledge in writing the test cases, it will affect the schedule of the project. Same thing, if you have lesser knowledge in writing the automation scripts, definitely it will affect the project. So that your team lead will keep on asking, hey, did you write the test script? Sir, I'm writing the test script. Give me 1 day time. Give me 2 days time. I'm trying to figure it out. So, right, this having lack of knowledge, right? That is where your practice comes into picture. That is where right, you have to touch base all the features of the automation, right? So that should not be new thing when you start writing. Hey, I did not practice this in my real time, or I did not come across this. Situation might be different, but the methods, right? The classes, the methods, what is being given by Selenium, you should touch base everything. But scenario, but the situations or the requirement depends on project to project. That you and I don't have a control. But what you have a control is on your knowledge. What you have control is on your testing, writing the test scripts. Okay. Now, accuracy, another aspect which is very important, right? So when as a human, right? So you know, if someone is asking you to prepare a detailed report, or someone is asking you to prepare a report daily, correct? So day one, you might be very interesting because you just joined the manual testing project. You prepare manual testing report properly, or closure report properly you prepare. A summary report you might be preparing properly. If someone is asking a bug report, you prepare properly. Correct. But as the days goes on, right? Slowly what happens, because we are human beings, we keep on losing interest in some area, you keep on developing interest in other areas. That happens in your real time as well, right? Now, this process, right? This process moving of our interest from one to other, definitely there will be a errors. You may not doing wantedly, right? Instead of reporting 5 bucks, you might have reported 50 bucks. A zero by mistake you might have typed, right? You're talking to someone, hey, how is your job going on? You might be talking to someone, you're updating, some report. Instead of zero, you put another zero adding to it, another one adding to it. So there might be different scenarios where a human can make a mistake, right? But you can't expect the same with the automation. Even if you execute the script one time or it is 100 times, the report, the execution time, the report, the accuracy, right? And the performance should remain same. It's not like system getting right. It's a new laptop. Today I'll execute script very fast because second day laptop has become old. It will execute in more time. No, that will not be the case, right? So system always work as per the commands. So there will be no tiredness unless a system crash or something is freezed. But your automation script will be reporting the same results in the first script execution, the same results of 100th time of execution. That is more of the accuracy, right? And definitely we know what all test cases can be automated, what all test cases, right, is required. And let's say if you have, there are 1,000 test cases. Now, remember, just understand this. There are 1,000 test cases that you written for a application, right? So as a new to the automation, right, you might be thinking, how many test cases should we automate? Should we automate all test cases? Do we need to automate only few test cases? Those few test cases, who will be giving those? Correct. Now, out of all the test cases, right, generally what happens, there will be a separate test cases which is written for the purpose of regression. Now, whenever there is any change in the application, so what we do, we're gonna test that application again. Correct. So what happens is in the real time, they'll prepare a regression test suite. So now your new word you are listening to it. Suite is not the blazer or someone or blazer or something. It is SUITE. In foreign language, people that call that as a suite. Customer call this as a suite sometime, but most of the time we call that as a suite, right? Now, suite is a combination of all the test cases gathered together. It's a combination of right different things placed in one particular document. Right now, that we call as a regression test suite or a suite of test cases. So most of the time, we are going to automate all the regression test cases. Right? Most of the time, we're going to automate the regression test cases. And again, see, this is as per the best practice, right? This is what it happens in the real time. But depends on the project to project, right? You cannot say that, I'll not be automating other test cases. I'll not be automating this, that. So you have to be very tailored way of working. If something is coming to you, you have to do it. If someone is telling to do this scenario, you have to do it. Your job is to write the automation scripts. Correct? Now, what is that script? The more you write, the more you spend time in automation, you will get more knowledge. Don't say no to anything which is coming to your plate initial days, right? Till you get more confident, you get more confident in talking to the team, getting those requirements into automation. Keep taking those works, right? So no, now having said that, now we know which test cases we're going to target, right? Now we are going to target all the functionalities, right? All the test cases which are repetitive in nature. Okay. Now every time example, what do we understand by regression? Any change in the code, we'll test the actual functionality. Is there any impact on the functionality? That we do in two areas. Correct. Now in this case, we're not going to touch base every single thing in application. We're going to touch base only the important part. Whether is there any impact on the application, right? Or if there is any defect fix because of the fixing, is there any impact on the application, right? So those test cases should be automated. The areas where the more important functionalities. So when we say core, when we say core, right? So depends on the domain to domain. We know which is your core functionality. So, right, and by defining what is a core functionality, you should be knowing what is a domain actually, right? Then only you'll come to know what is the core functionality. That's where I keep on saying domain knowledge is very, very important for every aspect. Don't take it light. Even for the automation, right? If someone is asking what is the important functionalities that you're going to automate, you can talk about the scripting. That is good. But what functionalities you have automated, which is a core functionality, which is right the test cases which are repetitive in nature, which is touch basing the important aspects of the application. That when how we are going to define if you have a good knowledge on the domain. So your domain knowledge, your automation scripting knowledge, that will give you more confidence in talking to someone. Okay. All right. Any doubts on what we're discussing? Let's move ahead with the next topic.
Yeah.
All right. So please make a note of it high level because these are all information I've gathered from the internet. But yes, it is in one place where it will be helpful you to prepare on the interviews when you're going for a right automation, especially. You are making note, let me know. Then we will move on to the next slide.
Yes, we know.
First, Kavita started writing. If I spoke everything, first make a note, then only we'll discuss, right, Kavita? Okay, I want yes from everyone. I want yes from everyone.
Yes,
I don't
Let's
want
move
to
to
go
next
only
slide.
one person saying yes and moving ahead with the next screen.
Yes, we know.
Okay, great. All
Yes,
right.
yes, yes, I
Okay.
have
Yes, we
written.
know. Yes, we know.
Let me know if someone is in middle of writing and I'm moving to next screen. I'll come back. Okay. All right. Now, so this is going to be important aspect of our discussion, right? So we already covered what is manual versus automation, right? So this is going to be an important benefits if I implement automation. Correct? We have already discussed it. We have already discussed this. We have already know it, right? Now, we know automation testing eliminates a lot of human errors, correct? And we
Yes.
also know that automation is kind of a predefined steps, correct? Every time it will follow
Yes,
that
yes.
sequence only, right? Now, let's say you have written 5 steps of automation script. Every time, even if you run for 1,000 times, it will go with the step-by-step execution only. It will not pick up a random. Let's say the first time it will go to the step 1, step 3, and step 5, or second time step 2, step 4, and step 1. No, it's not going to happen. Okay. What's this question? Or somebody just posted it. Sandeep. Hotel project comes under which domain, sir? Please comment. Oh. Sandeep, what is this question? This is out of context you're asking. Is he left? I don't know what made him to ask that question all of a sudden about hotel projects. Okay, all right. I think Sandeep, this question, right? We should be discussing offline because right now we are discussing about the automation testing, and this should be a part of manual testing concepts and with respect to the domain concepts. Okay, so hotel travel industry, it all comes under one umbrella, and this is there's no specific like e-commerce we have it, right? So hotel and travel industry is a separate domain where specifically so we have hotel and travel industry coming under one bucket. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So guys, if you have any questions, right, you can just raise your hand and you can speak. Okay. So writing in text box will not improve your communication, will not improve your talking in front of the team members. So trust me, that will give you more confidence, right? When we how to talk in front of the team members, right? So these are all practice sessions. Nothing to worry about it. You can always raise your hand, keep asking questions. Okay, that that will give you more confidence in managing the interviews. Right. The first one is what? The first one is what? Improved accuracy.
Yes.
Right. We know that, right? Automation script eliminates the human error, and it follows some kind of a predefined steps, and it ensures that it consistently, right? Consistently, it executes and generate the reports. Now, speed we already discussed, right? Irrespective of any time, automation script will not say, "Hey, now time is 10 o'clock, right? I'm tired. I'll execute the script for less than like a morning. I was executing 5 minutes. I'll execute because it is 10 p.m. in the night. I'll execute 7 minutes. No, 24 by 7. Anytime you run the script, it will execute in the similar accuracy, similar speed, right? If you're executing, right, there might be uh right, I don't say there might be, there is an option of having executing the test cases parallelly. There is an option in automation where it executes test scripts like on the Firefox, execute the test cases on the Chrome, it executes the execution on the Edge, right? So it will execute same test cases that we done in cross browser testing, right? Instead of sequentially, it will also, there is an opportunity in Selenium in Java, which will run test scripts parallelly. So in spite of running parallelly, the report will be accurate. Report generation will be accurate. Test scripts will execute accurate. It doesn't mean that Chrome, okay, because Chrome is fast, I'll execute less than 5 minutes. Because Firefox is slow, I'll execute. No, all the test cases, all the browsers, right? What we have done manually using cross-browser testing, that can be achieved in the Selenium with Java. That's all again a different topic altogether, but just giving an heads up. So we have an option of parallel test execution in Selenium, right? Parallel test execution in Selenium. Okay. Now, having said that, right, the next point is cost saving. Correct. Now again, this cost saving is again, it is a ambiguity word or a diplomatic word, right? Now, if Selenium with Java, it's a free of cost. There's a, you can download, you can just run, you can execute. But what we need is the resources. What we need is a team who can actually write the scripts, right? And now, example, if the project is a requirement, I want two QA resources. The project demands is only two QA resources. Now, it doesn't mean that, right? I can tell the customer, hey, you want two QA resources, right? Should I take two manual and two automation? Customer will agree for that? No, he'll say, hey, I don't need two. You take only two resources who have multiple skill set, right? He should write the test cases. He should write the automation test scripts, right? So nowadays, the project requirements, the customers are coming back like this. They don't want individual, experts or individual persons in the project. They want multi skills, multi skill sets. And there is now, if someone in the Salesforce right now, so some, I think Sandeep was mentioning, in Salesforce what happens, right? So there's Salesforce admin is a kind of a role where the programming is not required at all. So admin can just configure right the requirements, and he can set up all the initial stages. He can set up the permission sets. He can do a process builder schema. There are a lot of options for the admin. And whatever tasks that our admin is not doing, there is an opportunity where developer will comes into picture, right? Example, some kind of a validation, some kind of a logical programming that is required, then the developer comes into picture. Now what is happening here? We need two resources actually. One, an admin, other one is the developer. But customer comes back and say that, I don't want two people, boss. You hire one person who is having a knowledge on admin, who is having a knowledge on development also. That way, instead of giving 40,000 to two resources per month, I can only pay 40,000 per one resource who is having multiple knowledge on it. Right? This is how the customer is coming back to us. That is where I keep on telling, manual testing alone will not give you a job. And even some Sandeep, I think Sandeep and what's her name, Niharika was also sharing, right? Those are all the real experiences. One technology, even if this Salesforce admin will not give you a immediate job. With admin, you should have an advanced admin. There is advanced admin certification. With advanced admin, are you familiar with the Aura framework? Are you familiar with the platform development? Are you familiar with the LWC components? right? So there is only one person who's doing multiple jobs in Salesforce. That is the expected from the project requirement. Same thing with the testing also. Only manual testing will not give you a job, as we discussed earlier. You should have a performance testing, you should have a database testing, you should have security testing, you should have a database. There is multiple skill sets
ETL
that
test, ETL testing.
expects ETL testing.
API
That is
testing,
also ETL
API
testing. That
testing.
also we have
API
discussed in
testing.
detail. What is ETL? What is ETL jobs? How the extraction
API
happens? How the
support.
transformation is applied? Right? These are all different entities. You should be. It is excellent if you have 2 to 3, but master at least 2. Right? Right? That we have discussed in detail in our manual testing courses. Just for a refresher purpose, right? Yeah. Coming back to our point, cost saving. This is very important aspect for a project to take how many people into the project. Whether I need 2 people, 1 people depends on the project budget. Okay, but ideally, what I suggest is right. You should know right. You should know how to maintain the scripts. You should know how to write the script from the scratch. Now, example, 4 or 5 people there in the team. Out of 5 people, then they say that their performances came into picture. 3 people are very good in maintaining the scripts, but they're not very good in writing the scripts from the beginning. They have some kind of skill gap. Now the project demands obviously the 3 people they can't fit for a requirement to write the scripting from the scratch. So what they do, they'll move out those 3 people, and they remain. The other 2 can still continue to work. So don't take any chances with respect to the automation. You should be having multiple skill sets to remain in the project. Otherwise, you keep on moving to the bench. You keep on assigning to the new projects. One or 2 months, you will come out of the project because of your lack of skill sets. Okay. Now, the another important point is test coverage. Right. This is very important. Right now, we can as I just told you, right? We can reuse the test cases onto the multiple browsers. Now, that same test case is written for Firefox, right? The application should run same in Firefox. The application should run in Chrome. All you need to do is passing the arguments of, is it Chrome, is it Firefox, or both. Depends on what arguments that you pass. Your scripts are executing in multiple processes. What are we doing here? We are reusing the scripts. Correct? Are we writing Chrome separate test cases? No. Are we writing Firefox separate test cases? No. One test case you write, right? That is common for all the browsers. Here, what you need to change is only the browser name, programmatically what is required. If it is Chrome, you will write Chrome as an argument. If it is CHR, you write CHR. If it is a Firefox, you will write FIR. Depends on what arguments you're supposed to pass. I'm just giving an example. But you're not rewriting the test cases for the browsers, right? We are doing what? We are reusing the existing scripts. That ensures us, right? That ensures us the test coverage, and make sure that all the regression test cases are covered in it, right? So when we say a regression testing is passed, it means that there is no side effect on this change, right? Now there is no side effect on the defect that got fixed. Then once the test cases are passed, you can confidently tell, hey boss, this application is tested. Now there is no impact on the defect fixing. There is no impact on the new functionality that is added, right? Now that is nothing but your coverage is more. When you say it is working fine, on what basis you tell? You can't tell that 50% application is working if 50% is failed, right? You cannot say that it's 100%, right? When regression test cases are passed, it means that there is no side effect. There is no effect on the new functionality. That's where you say your test coverage is 100%, correct? Now, the reusability, again, we have just discussed, right? The test cases, whatever test cases are written now, let's say 1,000 or whatever, depends on the cycles, depends on the release cycles, depends on the functionality. If there is any change in it, you will just tweak the test cases, correct? You will add 2 to 3 lines, or you remove 2 to 3 lines in manual test cases. The same way in automation, if there is any change, you will edit the 2 lines, you delete the 2 lines, or most of the time what we do, we comment it out. We will comment that code. Why we are commenting? Because tomorrow, let's say customer wants it, okay, I want that again the functionality back. In that case, the developer has to, when I say developer, it's you. Again, you have to write the scripting for that particular feature, right? Now, if the code is already existing there, if I have it right, I'll just do an uncomment. I'll remove the comment and see. Again, it saves your time, correct? It saves your time. So please make sure you are very much aware when to comment, what code you should comment, right? Till what line. You can't comment everything, right? Even if you do a small mistake also, whole script will fail. Whole script will throw an error. So you should be very, very careful how to do a commenting also. Okay. All right. Now that we see in a practice, that you may not worry, right? And it is very important, right? So this automation test cases, right? So once it is developed, that can be integrated with the development process. Now let's say one once you have a DevOps process in place, that's again a little bit further advanced features. The moment the build is deployed to one environment, okay. Now what happens? There is the DevOps process, which is a CI/CD pipeline. What happens the moment the build is deployed? The test suite will be triggered automatically, right? The automation script will trigger automatically. The regression suite will run on that particular deployed build, right? Now any defect, a tester will get an email. Any defect, developer will get an email. That email, developer will work on it. He'll do the changes. Again, he will redeploy the application. Again, regression test suite will run. So this is kind of a continuous process, right? Till there are zero defects, right? Just I'm giving you a very high level picture. This is a future DevOps process where continuous, this is nothing but a CI/CD pipeline. If you are hearing for the first time, which is CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous development, right? Now, what happens with this? The developer will get immediate feedback the moment he deploys the application in some environment. The tester will get the feedback, right? Because there is some defect, in that build, developer will get an intimation. Hey, boss, you have deployed that build, but there is some issue, there is some error which is displaying. So developer will fix it. The similar way, the tester. Oh, there is some automation script error. Now there are two things. Script error is your technical script error. It means your script is throwing some error, or there is a defect on the web page which a report has generated. So you need to be very careful, right? What is that issue? Is that the application issue, right? Or is there a coding issue which needs to be rectified? As a tester, you should understand the scope of what needs to be done. Okay. All right. So any confusion on the continuous testing or all the points, benefits of automation testing?
No, what you tell at DI?
CI/CD.
DI?
CI/CD. Continuous
CI/CD,
integration.
continuous
CI.
integration, continuous development.
Yeah. Sandeep, you can throw some more light, more information on this so that people can understand. Okay. All right. Yeah, that is a very, very important aspect of any project, right? Implementing CI/CD pipeline. That is a very advanced topic. For you guys, it is too early to get into that particular area. Don't get into that. It is just make a note of it. But yes, once the automation is completed, correct. Now you should know what happens after you say everything is done. Now you know in SDLC process, till test cases is completed, you will release the product, correct? The deployment engineers comes into picture. As a tester, you should know what happens in the deployment engineer, what he does, whether he's moving. In the Salesforce, we move with the help of change sets. In the Java projects, how you are moving your right code from your one location to another location. In .NET, what happens? Right. Once the project is completed, how the CI/CD, right? How the deployment procedure? Is this manual deployment? Is this an automation deployment procedure? Whether we see a DevOps process is implemented. And for the QA, DevOps process is also one area where you can get into if you are really interested to learn more advanced knowledges. DevOps is also one area where if you have a good knowledge, it will always helpful, right, for your project's execution. Okay, again, I think we have already discussed DevOps engineer, DevOps architect. Did we discuss? No, I think that we have not discussed anything. So there are two areas. One is DevOps architect and DevOps engineer, where these people are primarily responsible for setting up this DevOps process. Whereas Dev is a development, Ops is an operations. Right? Together they came up a practice called as DevOps. DevOps. So this is again a very lengthy topic that needs to be covered. Right? If you are really interested, you have a lot of options on the internet. You can browse through whenever you get time. All right. Okay. Now this one is again another important one. Now we know what all benefits that we get through the automation. Okay. Now, because there is an automation, it doesn't mean that you're going to automate all the 1,000 test cases or all the project test cases. Example, a particular project is having 1,000 test cases. You're not there to automate all the 1,000 test cases. You're going to automate only the required test cases. Now, what are those? Right? What are those required test cases? Now, when I say required, what test cases we should be automating? Correct? Now, these are the important test cases generally we are going to automate. Right now, the first one is what? The test that needs to be run frequently and repeatedly. Okay. Now, out of all 1,000 test cases, right? Right, out of 1,000 test cases. So there are few functionalities that needs to be tested frequently, right? Depends on the project to project. Customer wants these particular scenarios that needs to be covered as part of automation. Then you have to automate the test cases. But most of the time, you will pick up the test cases which are required to run frequently and repeatedly. Okay. And in second case, what is the second case? Uh, Now let's say there is one single example. I'm just saying there is a login page that is that is created, and now that login page basically comes under an e-commerce platform. Correct. Now e-commerce platform. Now what you see, there are lot of users will be logging in. Correct. There are lot of users. They'll create users. They'll log in day-to-day basis. Now before hitting that to the live environment or to the production environment, that needs to be tested with the different data. Correct. Now you need to check how it is created with the different users, whether no, you create some test data, username and passwords. Correct. So you will test it with the username and password with the different combinations, right? So you like one time you say V Kumar and you pass the password in different. Once said you say different name, you'll pass the different passwords. Now what are you validating with this username and passwords? How the application is validating, whether it is throwing the error if the password is incorrect, whether it is throwing an error if password is having it is not meeting the actual standards of the application, special characters are not added, capital letters are not added, how the application is behaving when you pass correct information. Now this kind of test data you have in Excel sheet, obviously. Correct. Now what you do in manual testing, you'll open Excel sheet, you copy the username, you put it in the login username field. You'll copy the password, you'll put it in the password field. You click on submit and see with that username and password, your application is logging in or not, based on the positive or negative scenario. Correct. Now, the moment you submit, you see, okay, that application is working. Test case is passed. Vice versa, positive scenarios, negative scenario. Now, let's imagine there are 100 username and passwords that needs to be tested on the login page. How much time it will take? You have to log in every time, correct? You have to log in, correct? You log in, check, pass, then come back and write the status, right? You have to execute all the 100 usernames and passwords. Now, this is generally in a IT language, we call that as a large data sets. Okay, this kind of, it might be 100, might be 1,000. Okay, so whenever you have a large test data, whenever you have a lot of data that needs to be tested, we generally call that as a large data sets. Whenever you have similar situation, whenever you have a large data sets that needs to be tested, right? We prefer automation. So what we do, we put it in an Excel sheet, right? We tell the script, boss, step one, you open the browser. Step two, right? Log landing page is required, obviously, right? Amazon.com example. The application launches. Step three, go to the Excel sheet. Pick up second line, username first. It will pick up the username. Come back to the web page. It will type that username into the username text box. Step 4, it will come back to the Excel sheet. It will pick up the password. It will go and input in the web page. Click on submit. If it is logging in, right, then you write the validation here. How will your script know that it is pass or fail? You have to validate, right? You have to see system is not going to, this is not an AI, artificial intelligence, which will tell that pass or fail. You have to tell which scenario it is pass, which scenario it is fail. That is where your Java comes into picture. That is where your programming knowledge comes into picture. You have to write the if conditions. If landing page is having this, it is a pass. If landing page is not having this, it is a fail. That we'll see. Do not worry. Just give an example here. Now, pass or fail, again, you should not be writing manually. The moment if condition satisfies, it will come back to the script and write in the status column pass. Again, it will pick up the another username, password, go to the web page. Now this time, it will not open the web page again, right? There's already web page open for us. You will not open web page again and again, close the web page, right? So this is how the automation takes place. So whenever you have large data sets, many iteration requires, right? Many iteration. Well, what do you mean by iteration? In the normal English language, if there are any multiple cycles, right? Multiple times it has to be repeated. We call that in IT, in the project language, we call that as iterations. So whenever you have a lot of iterations that are required, whenever a large data sets, it might be anything. Okay, just an example I told about username password. So there might be a lot of data that is passed on to the web page, right? Example, Aadhaar card. Just take an example. Now, if a government is right developing an application called Aadhaar card, there might be many fields, right? Name, address, date of birth, your father name, mother name, what is your mole, right? Everything will should be captured, correct? Now let's imagine if that application needs to be tested before rolling out to the production environment, right? You have to pass these large data sets to the application, and imagine you are automating that particular web page. What happens? You have to prepare the test data first, correct? In the Excel sheet, you have to prepare the test data, which is in line with your scripting. Now, your script should, you have to write a script in such a manner, you should tell which step it should go to the Excel sheet, which line it should pick up. You cannot pick up a mobile field. You can't pick up the name field in the Excel sheet, right? So that we'll see. The mobile field should be of numeric character, numeric, and that should be picked up from the Excel sheet from the mobile column only, right? So that we'll see how we are going to do, automation while doing the scripting. Okay. Now, what is the third one? Tests that take too long or just tedious, right? Just a tedious when done manually. Give me 1 second, okay? Just give me 1 second. I'm getting a call. Sorry, yeah. Okay. Now, tests that take too long or just tedious when done manually. Now, this is again, whenever you see, right, manual efforts are more, we are going to automate that particular process. That might be anything. That might be anything. Right? Creation of, example, it might be a Aadhaar number generation, or it might be executing the regression suit, or there is a large set of data that needs to be processed. Right? There will be lot of scenarios where if you think, right, there are more efforts that is consumed by the manual testing, then that scenarios can be automated. Okay. Now, the last one, as I just told you, right? If you want to execute, right? If I want to execute, right? Execute on multiple platforms. It might be Linux, it might be, Windows machine, or you wanted to execute on different browsers, right? The parallel execution is also possible in automation process. Okay, but again, there is a process of doing it, right? That is, you need to understand how can we automate parallelly. So there is a setup process that is required actually, which is generally, used for the automation, right? You should follow certain procedures. We need to install a few things. That is, once that installation is happened successfully, then the parallel execution takes place. So that's a different steps altogether. That we'll see, if time permits. Definitely, we'll see that. Okay. Any confusion here?
No,
Any
Vinod.
confusion here?
No.
No,
No.
no.
Okay. Okay. So I think we'll stop this session here, and so tomorrow we'll start the basic, the automation process tomorrow onwards. So I need tomorrow a 30 minutes before we get into automation. So remaining 30 minutes will, start the hands-on process from tomorrow. Okay. And this theory is mandatory. So, few people might be excited to see or to start the automation, but I want you to hold your horses first thing. So before getting into the automation, right? These all things are required. I know people might be dreaming day and night when I'm going to start the scripting, when I'm going to do this, that, but I definitely, agree with you all. But this theory is also important to understand, and this will definitely gives you a broader knowledge, right? When you should go to automation, what automation gives you, right? What a manual tester cannot do it, what automation tester can do it. You should know all these areas. That will help you to work on the automation and attend the interviews also. It will be helping you. Okay,
I have one doubt, Vinod.
no doubts. Okay, it is already 12:03. It is done.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Kavita. You already started automation scripting, advanced level. Did something?
No, Vinod.
No. Okay, no. Before we proceed, right? Let me ask one question. Okay. See, guys, see, IT sector projects, right? IT or projects, right? There is no difference between boy or a girl, male or a female. Okay. First thing is that. Second, you should know. Let's say Kavita is here and I have a Rajalakshmi. Archana should know where Rajalakshmi is staying. Archana should know what is Rajalakshmi, right? Favorite food. In that way, you should work, right? You should know each other. You are working in isolation. Once class is done, my job is done. I'll not talk to anyone. If I put WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp company will charge 1 rupee for one message. Is anything like that? No. You have to talk to among yourself. You have to start the team activities. You should discuss. Hey, today, we have discussed about this class. So I have one doubt. Can we discuss? Definitely, I'll tell you this will help you. Right? Do not expect that you will do miracles the moment you step into the laptop wearing ID card. They will do a red carpet and say, okay, you come in, we are waiting for you. Nobody will do that. Right? Start talking among yourself, interact with team members. Do not hesitate. If you already know the topic, no problem, you discuss, right? That will tell you, right? That will give you communication skills, confidence, first thing. Second thing, you clarify your doubts with your team members, right? Third, you will get familiar with your friends, first of all, and that will give you motivation, right? Example, Nagatulasi might be spending overnight studying something, or Archana is spending too much of time roaming around. Most of the time I see Archana moving around with families, different places. Okay, so they should connect with each other. Okay, so that will, the team building activity is very important, guys. You cannot achieve automation, cannot achieve an isolation process. You have to connect with everyone. You should know what error he is getting. You should try to resolve it. Connect with them. Hey, let's have a screen sharing session. I'll see what is that error, right? That's why I told you, make a note of all the exceptions. Talk to your team members, understand it, right? If let's say one person is not in today, you should tell me, right? That person is not in, he's went some personal work. That is how you should be the communication. No, I'll not talk to anyone. My dad told not to talk to that boy, or my dad told not to talk to any girl. Don't get all those things in this zone, right? We're all we're all together. We are all on one goal, right? And definitely, right, if you travel separately, you might hit the target, but it might be late. It might be, very time consuming. But together, when you hit the target, right, you will hit very soon. And working in a team, right, the knowledge will be shared across. Now we have Sandeep, we have Niharika in the team, those who are coming from the experience background. Try to talk to them, try to get more knowledge in real time. The trainer can only give you the subject, right? But communicating with them, it doesn't mean that you keep on bugging them. Hi, how are you? What is you're doing? What is real time scenarios? No, right? Respect their privacy. Get some knowledge with them. Hey, what kind of challenges you face in real time? Can you please share? Request a time, connect with them, have that session, right? You can set up Google Meeting also. You can set up WhatsApp calls also. There are a lot of options. Utilize it. Okay. Because you have not started automation, guys, this will help you to get more confidence. Trust me. Manual testing is fine. We have done net isolation. But if I'm calling to office, nobody will come. My dad is not helping. My dad told me not to go to office, right? I'm in different location, different reasons. But how will you learn when you're sitting in a one conference room, right? If you want to give a presentation, how will you give? Let's just imagine people coming from different background. There will be a nice conference room where you're supposed to give a demo. Will it develops overnight? No, it should come with your practice. That will only come when you
Vinod, your voice is not
too
clear.
many personal things. Okay, so overall, what I'm trying to tell you is know your team members, know who is Archana, know who is Nagatulasi, know who is Rajalakshmi, know who is Rajiv, who is Niharika. Right, get along with them. Right, then you'll enjoy your classes. You'll enjoy working. Okay, otherwise it looks like, I need to complete this course, I need to prepare a resume, I need to get a job, first salary I need to give to my dad, after that I purchase this, that. No, that should not be the case. You should enjoy learning, you should enjoy the classes, you'll enjoy the practice. Okay, somebody wants to lead this discussion, happy to do it. Anybody who wants to set up a call, right? It may not be a subject related, have fun, talk to each other, right? Spend time, then slowly that that will get into a healthy discussion. Okay, if somebody's having a doubt, they may open up. Hey, I'm really having this doubt, can someone can clarify? You can try talking to them in English. Just try spending time. All of a sudden it will not be developed overnight, guys. I'm telling you again, come out of the comfort zone. Okay, I'll not take too much of your time. It's already 9 minutes over bhashan. You might be thinking, "Arey, what is class is over now? I'll close this laptop and there is a serial coming up at 12:15. Atta Kodal serial is coming in YouTube or some channel, some music coming. I need to look at it. Okay. All right. So I'll leave you guys now tomorrow and make sure that
Sir,
someone, who was that?
Satish.
Satish.
Happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday to your daughter.
It is
Oh,
true.
okay. That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That's tomorrow actually. And definitely I'll convey. So she's counting days actually. Every day calendar she marks. Oh, another 1 month, another 25 days, another 20 days. Okay. So yeah, definitely Satish. Thank you. And
Thank you, sir.
tomorrow, yeah, I'll try to join. And because tomorrow session, I'll give you some hands-on so that you can start practicing it. Okay. Do some puja to your laptop. Put some kumkuma paspu, some coconut water on your laptop so that we'll start from tomorrow. Okay. People are, and don't break too many coconuts. One is enough. Okay. All right. So okay. Then I'll see you tomorrow, same time. And have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Vinod.
you, Vinny.
Thank you.